Okay, so our final question, we're looking at counterproductive behaviors in the workplace. And so, addressing this question, I would suspect that there is some form of perception of injustice that applies and have emerged within the company. Whether that injustice applies toward missed promotion opportunities or whether there's a workplace policy that they feel is only applicable to them and not to everybody, or whether it's some job description additions that have been added to them without compensation. We won't know for sure till research is done and figure this out, but you can reason to believe that something has happened within the organization to produce this counterproductive behavior, especially since um, this is not just one department, it's happening across multiple departments within the same organization. So something's triggered this behavior throughout the organization, so you would want to definitely look at that. And it could be that policies that are being misused have existed for some time. Maybe the company has a long-standing, pretty lenient policy on attendance, and yet now then that is being exploited, and people don't log time, they don't punch cards, and that's often the case with people who are salary-based employees. But if you take that lenient type policy and you combine it with the perceived injustice that may exist, people are maybe exploiting that policy as a form of withdrawal from their work. If somebody has perceived that an employee that they don't see as a team player and they don't work the long hours and they leave early, and yet that person gets a promotion, then they can become very angry and lash out and decide that it's not worth them working the long hours for. Um, why would they? In their mind, they've worked all these long hours only to get past up promotion when somebody who's barely there gets the promotion instead. So it could matter that this injustice does happen. They may be trying to punish their employer through this perceived injustice. Another constraint could be the fact that these job descriptions are being changed, and we frequently see that, especially in a tough economy where there's hiring freezes and people can't get promoted, and there's promotion freezes, and we're asking people to do more with less. And so that becomes really difficult, especially if you lose team members that you can't hire to replace them, and you can't really promote somebody into it. So what do? If you can't hire and you can't promote, you typically just divvy out the extra duties to somebody else that's already on the payroll. And if that happens without proper compensation, their job description becomes bigger, their work duties become more, and they're not getting any value out of it. So again, they can feel mistreated, and injustice will can occur. So I believe the company should look at all the recent promotions, look at adjustments to job descriptions within the HR department, see if there's obvious errors that have been made. Maybe interviews and surveys could be administered through the workplace to identify these negative attitudes and what perceived injustices do exist. A full review of these policies and attendance policies need to be examined, see if there's loopholes that exist that are being exploited for the benefit of the employee and to the detriment of the company. Maybe it's too restrictive and they need to lighten up some of the attendance rules. And so these possibilities of extra stress and misconceptions about perceived injustices have been shown by the stressor emotion model of counterproductive work behavior proposed by Spector and Fox, and they demonstrated that these perceived environmental stressors in the workplace do in turn make negative attitudes about these stressors, and they produce in turn counterproductive behavior. So these things affect our attitudes, and those attitudes then in turn affect our behavior. So we need to identify what these stressors, or at least the perceived stressors, are. And then we can reach out to our workforce and see if we can reach a mutual agreement on how to best tackle these. And a full review of some of these promotions and job descriptions. And if we do that and we incorporate the employees as part of that process and make them feel like their opinions do matter, and their um, these injustices are just that, they're perceived, they're not really injustices, and be willing to look at them and review them in detail, then hopefully these counterproductive behaviors would then go away.